In the Greco-Persian war that went on, or the war that Herodotus covers in his book Histories, it wasn't just a war between two nations, the Persians and the Greeks. It was also a war between two government ideologies. These were two very different governance structures that were kind of in a conflict. How the Persians saw government or viewed government and practiced government was so different from how Greeks generally viewed government and practiced government. And in the book Histories, Herodotus does give us a few stories that illustrate this point. Um, so I'm going to give you two incidences in the book where this becomes very clear. Now, the first incident happens when Xerxes is marching towards Greece. He's already basically in Greece land, but he's not reached his main targets, that is Sparta and Athens. Now he's somewhere, he's camping, and then he decides to look at his army, to examine it, to see if everything is in order. And after he has done that, he calls for one of the Greeks who was in his army. And this guy is someone I've mentioned a few times, I think, in a few videos in my previous, in a few of my maybe 2 or 3 videos. And this guy is Demaratus. Now, Demaratus used to be one of the kings of Sparta. And I've told you that Demaratus fell out with the other king, Cleomenes. Sparta used to have 2 kings that ruled at the same time. He fell out with Cleomenes, and Cleomenes brought this charge of Demaratus not being the real son of his father. So with that charge, in fact, Cleomenes goes ahead and he bribes an oracle who declares that indeed Demaratus is not the son of his father, the father who he inherited. So Demaratus leaves Sparta. That's a long story that I think I've explained in another video. He escapes from Sparta and he goes to Persia, and he's welcomed by Darius, Xerxes' father, and he's made comfortable in Persia. And in fact, I told you in another video that Demaratus did play a big role in making Xerxes becoming the king of Persia. That it was his advice that persuaded Darius to pick Xerxes as his heir, even though Xerxes was not his first son. I've told you this in another video. So it seems the Xerxes and Demaratus remained very close, and Demaratus was like his advisor. And so when Xerxes decided to go to Europe to attack Greeks, and specifically Athenians and to some extent Spartans, Demaratus was part of the people, or the team of experts he had around him. So during this particular moment, he calls Demaratus and he asks him, tell me, he was like kind of joking, it wasn't like something serious. He tells him, so tell me how the Spartans can be able to beat me with all this army. Like, how is it even possible? Do you think it's even possible? And Demaratus asks him, do you want me to tell you the truth, or you want me to tell you what you want to hear? And Xerxes tells him, no, tell me the truth, what is in your mind. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear. And Demaratus tells him, let me tell you the truth. Spartans are very passionate when it comes to protecting their freedom. So even though you have a big army, don't think that it will be so easy for you to go there and conquer them. These people take their freedom very serious, and they can do anything, even if their number is not as big as what you have. Don't be so sure. Let me read what Xerxes says, and from this you can get how he views government from a Persian perspective. And then I'll read what Demaratus says back to that, or as a reply to that, and that gives you what Greeks, how Greeks saw government. So Xerxes, this part of what Xerxes says, if they had a single master, their fear of him might make them courageous beyond their natural bent, or they might be urged by lashes against an enemy which far outnumbered them. But left to their own free choice, assuredly they'll act differently. So he tells Demaratus, I don't believe you. I don't believe you that these people can do anything really. I don't think they are as passionate as you are trying to tell me, because they don't even have a king who they fear. They don't have a king they fear. If they had a king, I would believe you, because then they have this man they fear, and then they will do whatever this man wants. And if they don't, they will be thinking about the lashes that they might receive for not doing what the king wants. So because of that, Xerxes is coming from a Persian custom where the king is like, you do things because the king wants you to do. This is what Demaratus tells him. He says, for though they are free men, they are not in all respect free. Law is the master whom they own, and this master they fear more than your subjects fear you. Whatever he commands them do, and his commandment is always the same, it forbids them to flee in battle, whatever the number of their foes, and requires them to stand firm and either to conquer or die. So it tells him, yeah, they don't have a king they fear like your subjects fear you, but they have a master nevertheless, and that master is the law. And they do whatever the law demands them to do, and the law demands that when they go to war, they have to fight to win or to die. They have no other option according to the law. So that's one incident that gives you an idea of the difference of mentality about government between the Persians and the Greeks. Here is another incident. Another incident that Herodotus gives us is where there was a time Darius sent messengers to Sparta and to Athens to ask for earth and water, which was like giving them like soil. I assume it's soil and water from their region, and sent it to the king, which symbolized that they had surrendered to that king and they were under him. So Darius sends these messengers, heralds, to Sparta and Athens and other Greek city-states. When the messengers sent to Sparta arrive there, they are captured and they are killed. And when you read the entire book, it's clear that in this ancient world, there was a law that was observed by all kingdoms and all societies. And this is that even when two kingdoms are fighting, if the other one sends messengers, you don't hurt the message. The messenger was not supposed to be touched. He comes, he brings a message, and they leave, go back to where they came from and hurt. But now Sparta killed these messengers, which was like an abomination in the ancient world. And even though Darius did not find an opportunity to punish them for this act, in due time, things started happening in Sparta, and the Spartans started thinking it's because of what they did to the messengers from Persia. They started planting, and the land was not producing as much as they expected. The animals were not reproducing as much as they expected. And over time, other things were happening to them, and they were like, this is because we killed the messengers from Persia, and we need to do something. They go to the oracle, and in fact, the oracle tells them they need to do an atonement, like they need to sacrifice, they need to face punishment for that, so that things can go back to normal. And what they do, they pick two men from, can say, noble family, like they were from very highly regarded families, I might say that. And they pick these two guys, And the two guys were, one guy was called Spartius, and the other one was called Bullies. So these two guys are picked, and they are told, we want you to take the burden of our city and become the sacrifice, so that we can do things right and be forgiven from what we did. And they are sent to Persia, and the purpose is they are sent there so that the king of Persia, at this time, the person who is ruling Persia is Xerxes. They go to Xerxes, and then Xerxes kills them as a punishment to Spartans. And the Spartans were hoping that after they've been killed, then the things will start going back to normal again. They will start, their farming will be productive, and the animals will reproduce, and things will be okay. So these two guys leave Sparta, and they go to Asia. Before they reach Susa, they reach a governor of Persia, a guy known as Hydanes. And Hydanes welcomes them, and they tell him why they are coming and why they need to go to Susa. And he listens to them. And Hydanes tells them this. Now listen what Hydanes says and their reply, and it also gives you the mindset of the Persians about government and the mindset of the Greeks about government. So Hydanes tells them, men of Lacedaemon was the Greek tribes that occupied Sparta, why will you not consent to be friends with the king? You have but to look at me and my fortune to see that the king knows well how to honor merit. In like manner, you yourselves, were you to make your submission to him, will receive at his hands, and seeing that he deems you men of merit, some government in Greece. So he tells these two guys, just accept to be the friends of Xerxes. Like, go there and tell him you are his friends, and accept to do what he wants you to do. And if you do that, and I think the way you people are, you seem like men of merit, I see the possibility of him, instead of killing you, he will give you power in Greece. Like, he will bring you back to Greece and impose you on your people and make you the rulers of Sparta in particular. Yeah, so you should just decide to be his friends. And this is the answer they give him. Hydanes, you are a one-sided counselor. You have experience of half the matter, but the other half is beyond your knowledge. A slave's life you understand, but never having tasted liberty, you cannot tell whether it be sweet or no. Had you known what freedom is, you would have bidden us fight for it, not with a spear only, but with a battle axe. So they tell him, whatever you are telling us comes from your experience. And your experience is that of being the slave to the king. That's how you've lived your entire life. You've never tasted freedom. Freedom where you are not a slave to another man. Like, you don't live and do things because another man decides or wants you to. You live because you are free. So you can't advise us. And in fact, after they leave Hydanes, they go to Susa. These two gentlemen are told when the king appears that they should bow down to him. And they say, no, we can't do that. Even if you decide to kill us, we can't do that. And they say, for it is not our custom to worship men. And we have not come to Persia for that purpose. It's not our custom as Greeks, especially Spartans, to worship other men or fellow men. And we've not come all the way from Sparta to here to come and worship another man. And in fact, Xerxes did not have them killed. I think he respected the way they were principled and how they saw life. And he let them go. And in fact, he told them, The excuse he had for not killing them, he told them, you know, Spartans broke kind of like an international rule, and they killed messengers. And I'm not going to do that what Spartans did. So I'm not going to kill you, and he let them free. Okay, Herodotus does tell us that later on these two men ended up being killed by not by Persians but by Athenians for some other reasons. So these two incidences gives you a sneak peek into how Persians viewed government and how Greeks viewed government. You can summarize into being that the Persians believed in the rule of man and the Greeks believed in the rule of law.